Hello, my name is Whittick, your creativity and spiritual life coach, and welcome to Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations. This is the second episode in the new series where I'm sharing with you things that have inspired me and contributed to my own personal growth and the desire to change my life. So these could be things like songs, speeches, quotes, books, podcasts, people. And this week I will be sharing with you how one song changed and transformed my life. A quote from Kahlil Gibran: "Music is the language of the spirit. It opens the spirit of life, bringing peace, abolishing strife." And before I step deeper into the episode, just some quick ways that I can support you. Please feel free to sign up for the newsletter that goes alongside this episode and all of the episodes of Her Inspirations. You'll get additional teaching points and resources for you to further explore on your own personal journey and relevant updates. Also, I'm telling you about my course, Your Awakened Voice, which is for you if you've ever wanted to use your voice and develop and empower your own voice. So especially for you if you want to launch your own podcast, do more public speaking, speak online, or in your life just be more confident and vocal. This course is for you, and it uses my holistic approach that acknowledges the intricate connection between your physical body, mind, and spirit. If you're ready to enter into a personalized container, I particularly work with women over 40, helping you to rediscover that innate creativity and use the wisdom that you have gained through your life to create a purposeful life. All of the links to all of my offerings are in the show notes. I'm saying goodbye to the old me. I'm saying hello to a brand new me. Thank you, Lord. I declare it, I decree. Those are just some of the lyrics from the song that I want to share with you, the song that I say transformed my life. And the song itself is called My Exodus, and it's sung by Leandria Johnson and written by Donald Lawrence. Both of these people are very prominent artists within the gospel arena, the American gospel arena. And when I came across this song in 2019, towards the end of 2019, when I believe it had just freshly been posted on YouTube. That song now currently has about 52 million views the last time I looked. And what is it about this song? Well, during that period of time, the prior 6 months at least had been probably the darkest 6 months that I can remember in my life. I was consolidating a lot of grief and a lot of separation and a lot of disappointment that happened over, I would say, the preceding 4 years as well, really triggered by the death of my mother in 2016 and what followed, and what I can only really recognize now in hindsight was there was no stability and no security in my life for a good 5 years after that. This 2019 period was still very fresh in the midst of all of that shift and all of that movement. When that song came into my life, for one reason or another, I was on YouTube where I was just finding a lot of songs and wanting to just be inspired by something. I came across this song. My background is that I was born into the church, into the Pentecostal church. So gospel is always front and center within that church. Gospel music is something that's always stayed with me. I find it hard to think of any other music that hits as well as gospel music does. And even though I don't attend the church, I still appreciate the music. And the reason I appreciate the music is the way that people express themselves, the way that artists express themselves in gospel is second to none. It's something that can raise people out of their seats. And that's something that I really recognized with this song when it first started playing. Even though the song itself has been recorded in the studio, and the studio recording is great, what has the most impact is the YouTube video, which is a recording of her performing it on a show that I believe is called Sunday Best. It was a gospel music show. Kind of, I think it had a little bit of a competition element to it as well. So they'd have up and coming artists, but also they would have established artists or artists who had launched their career previously on that show to come back and kind of show how far they'd gone within their careers within the gospel music industry. And the singer Leandria Johnson herself had gone through a lot of trial herself. She and the little that I know of her story, has had her own personal battles with addiction, and came from a very troubled background, but she had this gift. And it was this gift of her voice and her way of expressing herself and expressing tunes that had been sung many times before that launched her career within the industry. But also because she still had this trouble with her personal life, there was a lot of judgment because the church has a lot of judgment around it. When I came across this song, I was not in a good place. As soon as I pressed play on this song, it was one of those songs, and she was one of those singers that they don't even have to get to the first verse. They don't even have to get to the first lyric. There's something about the way that they can just start, even just warming up their voice or saying the first 2 or 3 words. And I mean, the song itself actually begins with Donald Lawrence reciting the Lord's Prayer, and then he turns it over to Leandria, and she starts by singing, "Lord, deliver me." And the way that she sings that is it starts so low in her range, but also it sounds like somebody is praying and really asking to be heard at that moment. And what she conveyed in that caught me, because I was at a point where I need to turn this situation around. I need to turn the situation that I'm feeling of despair and loss and confusion and feeling abandoned and misunderstood, and I'm tired of that. And what can I do to change that? That's what happened with that song. It was the first line, "Lord, deliver me." And then the second line is "Lord, deliver me," but she takes it up and she sings it at a higher pitch, and that is more of a yell. And when she goes to that second phrase in the song, the camera pans around to the audience, and people start to be like, "Oh, hang on a minute, something's about to happen." And as she goes through that song, she just really drags it out of her heart, out of her soul. And by the time the song is completed, the people are on their feet. People are wiping tears from the corner of their eyes. And I had that same reaction to that song, because she was speaking to me at that point. She was speaking for me. She was saying the prayers that I needed. She was calling out to something to give me like the next step, because I'm tired of where I am and I need an exodus from the old me into the new me. I'll leave a link to the song in the show notes so that you can click and watch this and experience what I'm talking about, because one, copyright, so I can't put it on here, but also so that you can witness it for yourself, because everything that I'm saying cannot do it any justice at all. I can describe it, but only then, even if you don't feel anything, you can witness what her performance does to everyone in that room. Even other seasoned singers are standing up and looking and giving it to her, because they know that in order to express yourself and to open yourself up like that and be so vulnerable and just let it all out to the point where she finishes singing and she looks as if she's run a marathon. She's exhausted because she left it all there on the stage. And that's what any artist of any description wants, to be able to leave it all out, to be as vulnerable as possible, to take that courageous leap. And it's in that courage that she expressed is why so many people resonate with that song. It's why it's got 52 million views. It's why if you read through the comments on that. And that's one of the reasons that I think YouTube is really effective, is to see people's reactions, sometimes not so great, but in this point, in this instance, are people talking about what that song has done for them, that what experience they were going through, whether it was a bereavement, a loss, whether it was abuse within a relationship, that they went back to this song time and time and time again in order to just kind of feel that somebody else was able to feel them, that by relating and resonating with this song, they were able to get some transformation, they were able to get some healing. And that's what I feel is so powerful about this song. This is why I say how this song transformed my life. It changed my life. It saved my life, I would say, even, which sounds like such a big thing to say. So how did it inspire me to make changes? During that time, I had lost pretty much everything that there is to lose, that a person can lose. But the things that I did have was, I still had my visions, I still had my ideas, and I was just about, by the skin of my teeth, running Her Conversations podcast. It reminded me that I still had things to offer. It reminded me that I still had things that couldn't be taken from me, even in the midst of my pain, that even when I didn't really know where to go, even when I had virtually no money, no secured home, no secured job, no entire truthful, clear direction about what I was going to do going forward, that the ideas that I had still within me, the connection to spirit that would just lay a hand on my soul and remind me that I still had a purpose, that would still illuminate and show me the things that I had, the gifts that I had, the things that I had given already, in the way that I'd already helped people, and that all I needed to do was just take a step through, that I hadn't lost anything. And that's what that song did for me. And it gave me hope. It gave me inspiration as well to admire how vulnerable and open and creative and inspired all of these artists could be, and to see them go out there and just give it away, and how people can be touched by gifts. That I remembered that I had gifts, that I had desires to help people, and it was possible. And it was not for me to give up. I just had to step through the person that I was at the time, that I had to step past the old me into the new me that was being shown. And what was happening in my life was just simply a death of something that wasn't working anymore. And for that reason, it just deepened my connection to myself, because in the midst of feeling that I had nothing, I saw what I had, and I saw what couldn't be taken away from me. Even when I turned away from it, it was still there waiting. It showed me what couldn't be touched by others, even when they wanted to bring me down and had almost succeeded, that there was still something waiting for me that was untouchable to them, that was unknowable to them. And I have played that song and contributed my share to the 50 million views. And I allowed myself to listen to it on repeat and cry and cry and cry and cry, and purge myself of all the things that I felt and all the sadness that I felt there, and leave it out. And I realized that at that point I hadn't had that big, explosive, cleansing, purifying crying session that I quote unquote should have straight after my mother had passed. But that in itself was a different thing, because it had taken so long. Her journey towards her leaving the physical had been so slow, and that I'd been grieving her over a number of years, that when she passed, I just saw it more as a release on her side, and didn't really, the grief that I was yet to experience didn't really hit immediately. And on some respects, in many respects, I'm just a slow moving bus on certain things. I've always said, especially when it comes to emotions, sometimes it just takes me a moment to allow myself to process it. Even though I see the shock of it, I will ease into it as and when I feel that, it's safe for me to do so. The impact of that song, and the further impact of that song, is for me to share with you who are listening that if you have some desire within your life, deep in your soul, that it's there for a reason. And if you're feeling at a point where there's no hope, there's no way out, or that you can't think of what the next move to make is, to know that it will come. And maybe there's a moment where you have to be really still and feel into what it is that you are feeling right now, not to avoid your feelings, not to avoid your experience, but not to stay too deep in it for too long if and when you can move out. For me, I express gratitude that song had ever been created. And like I said, 52 million people and rising listen to that song, and thousands, I don't know how many comments there are of people who will just tell their story. And I still revisit that song just to remind myself that, one, it's just a beautiful, beautiful performance. It's an expression, it's a pure and deep, vulnerable expression, and that how powerful our own creativity can be to other people. Whatever your way of expressing and sharing and putting out into the world something new, if you do it in a way where you allow yourself to be raw and exposed, it will connect with somebody, and it could even save somebody's life. So if you've got any experiences with songs or pieces of music that have transformed your life, I would be really interested to find out what has done that for you. And also I encourage you as well, as you're going through the trials of your life, to find the things that give you that moment to release or give you peace, or the songs that will align with how you're feeling so you don't feel so alone. And if and when you can, find the people that are safe for you to share your story and your pain with as you move through it. And know that you will move through it. It does pass. I'm here as a testament to tell you that the person who listened to that 4 years ago is part of me, but she was part that I needed to experience. And as the song says, I said goodbye to the old me. From Robert Browning, who hears music, feels his solitude peopled at once. So thank you for listening to another episode of Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations. If you're getting something from this series, I encourage you to please leave a review so that I can start to grow the Her Inspirations message and community. Also, if you want to find out more about me, you can link up with my website. It's carolmaywhittick.com, carolmaewhittick.com. Also, connect with me on Instagram, Kazmick, CAZMICK, and on Facebook and LinkedIn, Carol May Whittick. Until the next episode, thank you so much for listening. Take care.